Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street, presented by Plaza Hotel and Casino in downtown Las Vegas. Here is Plaza CEO Jonathan Jossel, Gary Vickery, and I'm your host, Lisa Melmed.
Hi, Jonathan. Hi, Gary. How is everybody doing?
Doing very well. How's everybody?
I am doing great, guys. It's that usual lull between rodeo and Christmas. It's like the 10-day of quietness in town, which actually, funnily enough, a lot of customers tell me this is why they come here now. They prefer it when it's quiet. They don't want to be here with all the chaos, and seems like a few of our regulars are coming out of the woodwork that stayed away during the 2-week festivities.
Of rodeo?
Yes,
National Finals Rodeo?
NFR.
NFR.
Which only seems to get bigger and bigger every year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of confusion. Everyone, and I want to clear it up for anyone listening, PBR is leaving. PBR being Professional Bull Riders.
Right.
That left. NFR, being National Finals Rodeo, has not left. There's 5 more years on the contract. And I'm told by many, many smart people that it will not be leaving Las Vegas and that the experience in Las Vegas is just too good.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Texas last year. It's just not as good.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all pretty sure it's going to be here for many, many years. It's going to be here since 1985.
It's a long time.
And if you think of what it is, people think of it just as a rodeo, but it's like a festival.
Yeah.
It's a festival that takes over town. And EDC, Life is Beautiful, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, they take over an area. This literally takes over the entire town. From Thomas and Mack at the very south, all the way down to downtown at the north.
South Point. All the hotels are activated with events and expos.
You're right. South Point's more south than the airport than Thomas and Mack. So yeah, it was incredible. And the people are great and they love it. And I don't see it leaving Vegas anytime soon.
And it's great seeing all the cowboy hats and the buckles and the boots.
Yeah.
Around, and the horses.
And it keeps growing every year. Every year we activate more. You know, the arena kind of grows a little bit.
Yeah, the Plaza arena.
The horses down Main Street get a lot of good attention.
It's amazing.
Everyone loves that.
Nothing like seeing a horse walk down Main Street.
No, it's classic.
But even though we're in a little bit of a lull over the next few weeks before we start gearing up for New Year's, we have a couple big announcements that happened in the city over the last few days.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Huge and exciting announcements. The biggest one, the biggest game, the big game, Super Bowl is coming to Las Vegas in 2024. I think it's Super Bowl 58.
Mm-hmm. I'm just happy that I'll be able to say Super Bowl. We have to say big game every year.
We can officially say Super Bowl.
I don't know.
I've seen it. I've seen it posted places that they're saying Super Bowl 58.
Okay.
But this year it's still big game.
I like that the Roman numerals spell out LV.
Oh, yeah, it's LVII.
Yeah.
But LV.
L is 50, V is 5, I. Yeah. I think people are going to go crazy. I don't understand how, and I always thought this when they were building Allegiant stadiums, how do you make Super Bowl bigger? It's already the busiest day of the year, maybe.
In Vegas, without having
it.
In Vegas.
Okay, let's not say it. It's top 3 busiest days of the year, easily. So how does having the game here make it bigger? I don't know, because you're already sold out. Everything's already full. People come here as a place to watch the game anyway. If anything, you get more people, obviously, because the NFL brings entourages and all the fans. And then you still get the people that want to come here. But do you price people out? Do you make it harder to get you? Does the traffic become insane? And then do people actually go to the game? Your customers go to the game for 4 hours, 5 hours, and miss time in the properties. So I don't know. I really don't know how it gets bigger, but it's gonna be crazy. You can rent your apartments, rent your houses, rent your parking spaces. It's gonna be a circus. I'm pretty sure of that. What is it? 2 years?
2024.
2 years.
Yeah, 2 years away.
2 months.
But we'll have the draft this year, coming up in April. For next year.
I saw Mark Davis's announcement, and I congratulated him. And I thought he has done something pretty remarkable. We had the draft, we have the Pro Bowl game, and now we have the Super Bowl.
Right.
All within like 3 years of the stadium being built.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Do other cities have the 3 events so close together?
I think that I might be wrong. I think there's places that have still never hosted the Super Bowl.
A lot of cold weather stadiums have never hosted it either.
They don't get it. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the perfect place for Super Bowl.
Right.
In February, Vegas.
It's going to be insane.
But the draft was make up for last
2
years ago.
2
Wow,
years.
I can't believe it. It's already been 2 years.
When somebody wrote that, it's been 2 years since we almost got shut down. I was like, what?
Right.
What a 2 years it's been.
Yep.
And we're still wearing masks.
Yep. Will that go away?
I don't
Cool.
believe anytime soon. I've won a lot of money betting people that said it's going away for their good sources. It ain't going away. It's going away, but not anytime soon.
Oi, oi, oi.
Yeah, but I think the other news is actually just as interesting. The Mirage being sold.
Yes.
I think that's huge for our city because it adds a new player on the strip, a new operator, the Hard Rock group from Florida, the Seminole tribe.
Right.
I love what they're planning to do for the Mirage. There's been some renderings thrown out there if you guys have seen them with the big guitar on the strip.
No. Oh, wow.
And the Mirage name gone and the Hard Rock logo replacing the Mirage.
Okay.
And the Mirage is probably one of the most famous places on the strip just because it was sort of the first mega place in 1989 that Wynn built, and the history of that place is unbelievable, and it needed it. It needed a refresh, but I think it's going to be incredible for the strip to have new competition down there.
Are they like tearing it down and starting over?
They're not tearing down, they're remodeling. If you look at the renderings, I'll send them to you.
And they usually go all out. If you've seen the property in Florida with the giant guitar, yeah, I was there about 2 years ago, and it's beautiful head to toe. Yeah,
the operation there is going to be interesting to see how they, bring new business to Vegas, and it adds new competition because Cosmopolitan being sold was kind of a downer. It was an independent operator. I should say downer. It was just a transaction, but it's an independent operator being taken over by MGM. But then bringing in a new operator plus the Palms getting the San Manuel tribe. So you had two Indian tribes coming to Vegas. It's pretty cool. It's interesting to see how they'll do here.
And then it's also, isn't there an Indian tribe at Virgin?
Oh, yes, there is. Yeah, but they're just the casino portion. They don't have the whole thing.
Got it.
In fact, you bring up a good point. I haven't been back there in ages. We should go check it out.
I just went there to Money Baby for a holiday party and to Night Market, which James Trees spoke to us about on his episode.
How was it?
It was a little. I thought it was very cool. I haven't been in there before. Everything was new and fresh and shiny. The restaurant was delicious. It was during NFR, so there were a lot of cowboys there.
It was busy.
Yeah, kind of. Not really.
The last time I was in there, unfortunately, it was a Saturday night. It wasn't that busy.
Yeah, it seems to be the case.
Everybody, you give it time.
Yeah, I heard Night Market's amazing. People that know food say it's
really delicious.
Yeah,
and a great Thai tea martini.
Oh, okay. Probably wouldn't try that, but sounds very, very good.
Gary, what are you doing for Christmas?
I will be staying here. I'll be staying here. It'll be the first time in 7 years I'll be, in Las Vegas for Christmas. Usually I go home every year, but this year I'll be staying here.
It's interesting that it's on a Friday night, Christmas Eve. And then
Saturday, everyone will come out, and then begins a pickup for Vegas, at least, leading into New
Year's Eve. Are you ready?
I am. I can't wait. I love it. We just got the demo of the firework video.
We heard you listening to it.
With the music. I get excited every time. And we have a fun night the night before with Paulie Shaw.
Yes, Pauliepalooza.
Which we've taught Pauliepalooza, which is going to be great. So, I think it's going to be a really fun week kicking off. And then we got our first Super Bingo of the year, early January. So can't believe it's 2022.
I know.
We've weathered the storm and we've had one of our better years, so it's great to be in this position.
That's awesome. Speaking of New Year's, an announcement went out today talking about the return of America's Party, the fireworks show and party that they do on the Strip.
I'm laughing because I remember we were the only place to do fireworks in 2021 west of the Mississippi for a public viewing, and I remember standing on the roof last year, and it was a little subdued because we were all like, is this a good idea what we're doing? And there's crowds downstairs, and this Main Street was shut down. It was packed, and so it's nice to see everyone else joining the party this year.
Yeah, it was uplifting, I think, for the city.
Everyone was very excited that we did it last year.
Hindsight being 2020, would you do it all over again?
Yeah, that one, no regrets on that one. July 4th, 2020, I might have reconsidered if I knew what I knew now.
Yeah.
But no one can convince me that COVID spreads through fireworks. And it's outdoors, which we've learned a lot more about. So I probably would have done both of them in hindsight. But last year was amazing, being the only place in town. Plus, it was windy. It was freezing. It was it was I don't want to say the perfect storm, but it was every reason not to do it, and we still did it. And I'm glad we did. We got our Palooza, we got Doug stand-up. I think it's going to be packed downtown. We're seeing great pickup. I think it's going to be a great night to be here.
Absolutely.
And we're going to announce the expansion plans for Oscars on January the 13th at our 10-year anniversary. So maybe we do a teaser on the podcast leading into that. We get Oscar here, talk about it. It's going to be very nice. But I think today we wanted to go back a little bit and talk about our guest, Linnea, because a lot of people ask me how it is that we became so busy over the NFR. I was at the South Point the other day talking with their management, and we're relevant in NFR in terms of what we do now, the events, and I want to say that without Linnea, none of that would be possible. It was her vision, her ideas, and I think it would be interesting for people to hear how the arena out there came to be, the trade expo came to be, and our general involvement in NFR, which me being English have absolutely zero idea about. I think it's a good story to tell.
Were you skeptical about actually getting into the rodeo business without you not having firsthand knowledge of it?
Yeah, it was crazy, but we had nothing to lose. I mean, December was the deadest time of year.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
If you go to the properties that don't activate during NFR, they're quiet. So we didn't have much to lose, and it was an investment, but it was something that made sense to me because we have land, we have space, and it gave us a competitive advantage over anyone else downtown because of how much land we have to try it. So it wasn't an easy decision, but full credit to our ownership in Poyu and Tamara's that backed us on it, and it definitely paid off. It was a great risk. Great roll of the dice.
And Gary, you were in the thick of it, booking stalls and rooms for.
Did you ever think you'd be booking horse stalls instead of hotel rooms?
No.
And making more money with horse stalls than hotel rooms?
Right, yeah. No, but I mean, it's the process was very similar. It's just they're horse rooms instead of guest rooms.
Listen, give Gary credit. He never says no to anything. You tell him we're trying something new, and he'll lead the ship there.
I'm all in.
Even if he's got no idea what we're doing.
Awesome, Gary. We have our rodeo queen with us, Linnea Mitchell. Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you guys for having me.
Welcome, Linnea.
Thank you.
Why do you call her the rodeo queen?
Oh my gosh, because she knows everything about the rodeo. There are real rodeo queens, right? So you're
our rodeo. That's why. That's the answer. You're the Plaza's rodeo queen.
That's my job title.
Yes.
I introduce you as the rodeo queen.
You do. What's the saying?
And then I say, my standard introduction is, this is Linnea. I give you credit because you're responsible for the rodeo downtown. You are the rodeo queen. You drive tractors in the winter and ride bulls in the summer.
Yep, that's exactly what you say. And everyone
sits there very awkward and silent, and that's how I introduce Linnea to everyone.
All right, Linnea. So why is there a arena in the middle of downtown Las Vegas?
Oh goodness, where do I start?
Well, tell everyone where you're from and how you got into. How did you end up in Las Vegas? Even
how I ended.
I don't even know the answer to that. So,
so I'm originally from Central Florida, close to Okeechobee, Florida, which is the big I in Florida. The lake.
We need to work on that. We need to work on that answer because nobody associates Florida with rodeo. If you're going to be my rodeo queen, you need to be like a proper rodeo town.
You need to change where you're from.
Wyoming. Just go.
Say Okeechobee. Say Okeechobee. No one knows what that is.
Say Okeechobee.
What is that? Is this a place?
It's the I.
It's the I in Florida.
But isn't that like some kind of rodeo town?
It is.
Yeah, so say that. Nobody cares about Florida. Everyone's like, oh, Florida? What does she know about rodeo? So we got to go Okeechobee.
So I just say Okeechobee.
Thank you.
That's it.
Continue.
Okay.
I like that.
What if I say I'm Weatherford, Texas?
Beautiful. Even better. And people will be like, shit, this is a real rodeo now. Okay, go on.
Okay, so I originally went to college in Weatherford, Texas. I ended up dropping out of college within 4 months. I started my own multi-marketing platform company, and that is how Las Vegas Events found me in Weatherford, Texas, and brought me to Las Vegas.
Give people a little background.
What is Las Vegas Events?
Las Vegas Events goes and finds events from all over, and they bring them to Las Vegas. They establish them for 3 years, and then go out and find more events.
That's National Finals Rodeo, NFR. What else do they bring to
March Madness? They brought EDC.
Isn't it a subshoot of LVCVA?
It is.
So LVCVA's job is to promote Las Vegas as a town, and LVE is a subsection of that for specific to events, not just conventions. So like EDC would fall into their purview of promoting it, NFR, March Madness events. I know they have a lot of others that we're not mentioning, but they do other things as well.
They do.
But NFR is by far the biggest.
Yes.
And they brought you to Vegas to work there.
Yes.
And then what happened?
And then one of my tasks with LVE is to bring hotel partners to keep in relations with them. And the Plaza Hotel is one that came on as a sponsor that year. And that is how I met Jonathan Jossel. I do remember the first time I did meet him and ask him how he says calf.
How do
What
you
did I say?
calf?
Cough.
Cough. Coughs. Well, I didn't know what a cough was.
And I asked him during the meeting, I said, why are you coughing? All that.
Cough.
How long were you at LV? Just the year, right?
2 years.
2 years. Back in about 2016, and it's funny because I was reading about the history of NFR and give great credit to LVCVA because they're the ones who ultimately went out and brought them here. And they identified that the slowest time of the year, and Gary knows this in the hotel business, the slowest time of the year by far is Thanksgiving to Christmas.
Absolutely.
You are dead in the water in that period. And so having been here for about a decade, from 2007 to about 2016, I said to myself, I can't go through another December where it's just empty and all you're doing is waiting for New Year's Eve and those couple of days before. Right after Christmas it gets better. But it's dead. The town was always dead. And so they went out and they figured out NFR has to come here. Well, the Plaza and many downtown properties never necessarily got a piece of that business. So in 2016, I started saying, well, how do we get into this? What do we do? And obviously we reached out to LVE and said, what can we do? Can we sponsor you? And they let us sponsor them. Well, they didn't let us. They charged us and we sponsored them. and what was difficult was we did the sponsorship and our brand was out there and we were on the website and relevant, but we weren't doing anything that was special. So the next year when we agreed to sponsor them again, we really didn't get busy the first year. We had a little bit going on and they helped us with a few things, but nothing significant. So the next year when we agreed to sponsor them, I said to the team here, we're going to meet with LVE on a regular basis and figure out how we can do more to drive business here. And they sent down Miss Linnea, the rodeo queen, and we met here in Oscars. Actually, it was our first meeting, if I recall.
That was.
And we got talking, and as she was talking about places like Okeechobee and calves and steer wrestling, I realized I know nothing about what she's talking about. I knew absolutely zero. And I looked at the guy at the time, our general manager, and I thought, he knows nothing as well. We're really unprepared to be competing in the rodeo world. I mean, we just couldn't do anything. We were paying this money, but we didn't know what we were doing.
Right.
So we needed somebody to come on board, and I was looking at Linnea, I was thinking to myself, imagine if someone like that was on our team. And don't know exactly what happened, but about a month later, I think it was my English accent and charm, about a month later she was like, I'm available to come and work for you guys. And that's basically how it happened. And I want to say that was towards the end of summer, and that was when Linnea said, to do something we have to build an arena. Or we have to have a venue, a facility. And I had seen the South Point and what they had done, and not in any way to compare ourselves to the South Point. But actually, we've talked about this because we had Ryan Groundy, the general manager there, where he talked about the Western lifestyle and the events that they host over there. And that's when I was like, all right, Linnea, we'll back you. What should we do here? And that's how she got here. Was that a fair assessment, Linnea?
That is a fair assessment.
Prior to 2017, when we started to really invest into it, everything for the rodeo was mainly towards UNLV at the time. Where was most of the, congestion for the rodeo? Where was everybody staying?
No, the Strip was always busy. The Thomas and Mack obviously is where the events happen.
Right.
South Point's their biggest 2 weeks of the year by far. It was always big in town. I mean, Vegas has had it since 1985.
Right.
It's been busy in Vegas. It's the Super Bowl of NFL, but it's
of rodeo.
Of rodeo, but it's 10 days long, and it's the most amazing event ever. It's in my mind, it's going to go down as like one of the single great factors that define the city. You have Elvis, you have the Rat Pack. NFR is up there.
Yeah, definitely.
It's something that's defined this city. It's given it an identity in December, and so they were busy. And you see on the Strip all the promotion that they do. All the country singers and different acts, different ways to activate the properties. downtown had a little bit. I mean, Golden Nugget and they has the barrel racing, right? They have the flag on the arena.
They are the host hotel of the barrel racers. Yes.
So they've been involved in it for a long time, I assume.
There's also been the Downtown Hoedown downtown, and the Cowboy Christmas was at the convention.
Just for like a year
Oh.
or two. It wasn't a long time there.
That was Country Christmas.
Country Christmas. Excuse me.
Easily confused.
Yep, Country Christmas and Cowboy Christmas. There are many trade shows in town during December.
How did you learn about this world?
I grew up in it. I grew up rodeoing. So,
Yeah, we're talking to a professional
Barrel racer.
barrel racer.
there you go. Yep, growing up in the world, I mean, it is a very small industry, just as you can relate to Vegas. All the hotel owners and everything, you know, it seems so big, but at the end of the day, it is a very small, tight community. So that's exactly how the Western industry is.
And so you got married. You have a new baby.
I do. She's going on 2 months. I can't believe it. Time is
No,
flying.
seriously, you had a baby, and now you're here running a rodeo.
Yep. 7 weeks later. 6
Goodness
weeks.
gracious.
Yep.
And you live on a ranch? You own a ranch?
I do. My husband and I, we bought 517 acres in Twin Falls, Idaho, during the pandemic, and it's been really awesome, but I do miss the big city and bright lights.
Would you ever move back here?
Of course I would. In a heartbeat.
To do more events.
To do more events.
So we felt it last year when the rodeo went to Texas. You went out there to see how it was, right?
I did.
What did you think about it?
Ooh, the experience. They're just overall the experience. It was too spread out. The rodeo production was good, but it felt like another rodeo.
How was, in Texas, how was like lodging and, nightlife? How did it compare last year in Texas and in the middle of a pandemic?
I felt like everybody was in bed by 9.
That's great. No, it's good because, listen, everywhere I go and I talk about rodeo, people say, oh, it's left. It's gone. It's gone. I say, no, that's PBR.
Mm-hmm.
PBR is gone. And it's a shame. But NFR has a couple more years here. And then I guess it's up for discussion what happens to it.
2025.
Oh, my goodness.
And if we lose it as a city, it's a catastrophe. So when you say everyone was in bed at 9 o'clock, I think that speaks volumes to why it should stay in Vegas.
Yes.
Because it's the whole experience. And if you're going to go to the Super Bowl of rodeo, you should have it here. Give everybody that has no idea what we're talking about, which is probably a lot of people, what is a rodeo and what actually takes place and what are the different events? Because I didn't know any of this stuff.
You're okay. So a rodeo used to accommodate 7 separate events, and now it has 8. So you have the bull riding, you have the breakaway, you have the bareback riding, the steer wrestling, the team roping, the saddle bronc riding, the bareback riding, tie down roping. It's usually around a 2.5 hour production, depending on.
Okay, now we're going to make Lisa explain what each of those events mean.
I can.
You can, I bet.
can. It's taken me 5 years.
Yeah, I was going to say,
2017, but
I've never traveled to Las Vegas in December. So, you don't necessarily experience how much the whole town transitions into a real Western town. So for a city boy like me, Linnea, what explain in lamest terms exactly what some of these events do and what would people expect to see in a tie down or a barrel racing?
In a tie down or a barrel racing. So in a barrel racing, there's a cloverleaf pattern set up with 55-gallon drums. And the goal is for a girl and her horse to see who can make a cloverleaf pattern at the fastest time. With tie-down roping is a gentleman who ropes a calf and has to tie 3 legs and throw his hands up to stop the clock. And whoever is the fastest obviously wins. And the
6.8 seconds is the fastest ever, or no? Still?
No.
No, it's faster than that now?
Mm-hmm.
What's the
Yeah.
fastest?
I don't know what the fastest is, but you can go anywhere depending how fast you catch the calf and throw him down, how short the score is. So there is a score of you have to give the calf a lead time to, run ahead of you. So for every arena, it is a different time frame.
and the scores are based on the person and the animals, like 50% person, 50% animal, or how?
So that is with rough stock events. So you have rough stock events, which are based on judges. And then you have timed events, which are based on time.
Okay.
Who is the fastest?
Got it.
But and Lisa's not. I think you're kind of saying this, but like on bull riding, you're only getting half the points for your
They are
own
judging
stuff. They're judging the bull's efforts too.
Correct.
It's like if you got on Bodacious, you would have got a good score because he's the craziest bull of all time.
Wow.
Where does Bodacious live?
He's dead. But he went down as one of the great bulls
He
of all
went down
time.
in history. Yeah. So judging, it's 50% the rider, 50% the animal.
Right.
I was doing some research on this NFR, and Charmaine James won 10 straight world titles on barrel racing with her horse called Scamper. And then she, like a couple years later, came back with a different horse and won again. So do you think it was her or the horse that was so good? Probably both.
Well, it has to be a team. It's a team effort.
But it's also interesting at NFR, everyone, you're watching the best of the best. And I have zero background in rodeo as well. I knew nothing about this. Like, Jonathan.
You're watching the top 15 out of around 600 rodeos that take place. In
And they
States.
make it look so easy.
They do.
Because they're so good at it. And then you go to another rodeo and like they keep missing the steers or the calves or whatever. And you're like, oh, wow. You know,
It's not so easy.
Have you ridden a horse before?
Have I ever ridden a horse? Yeah, not regularly.
Gary, have you?
I have. I haven't
I'd
like
love to watch that.
3 times, but I mean,
Let's go out in the
I
lot
thought
right
Gary
now.
rode sheep in the winter.
Let's go out in the South Lot, Gary, and watch you right now.
And so the other best part about this all is that there's horses in our backyard during this. So when you can go out on your lunch break and see the horses, it's very calming to be around these animals. It's incredible to see them in the middle of downtown Vegas with all the neon surrounding them, with Mayor Carolyn Goodman's balcony looking over the.
Well, let's go
radio.
back to that. So Linnea comes in. She tells me to build this arena in the South.
I tell him to do it.
She had a good idea to build this arena in the South Lot, and I was in a position where I felt we needed to do something to grow into the Western world and to do more for December. So when you said that, what were you thinking we could do in this arena? What is the arena? What does it entail? When somebody's looking at our Google Maps and you see this dirt pen, or like Lisa said, when the mayor's sitting at her desk and she hears the horses running by, what is that out there?
Well, let's back up just a little bit. So in 2017, when I came on in late summer, I built a small practice arena.
That's good.
So, and we put 100 stalls, I believe, up in 2017. And so I had 2 months prior to NFR, and we sold out. And within the arena, just making it a practice arena, we had a really good turnout as well.
So you brought in dirt.
I brought in dirt and
Stalls.
panels. I made a 126 by 250 dirt pad.
You're right. We rented it that year, and you opened my eyes as to what was potential for
I
this arena. Although the stalls were 12 by 12s, and as Mr.
Goodness.
Gorn says, the Clydesdales don't need to sleep in a 12 by 12. They should all be in 10 by 10s.
I feel like you're
Clydesdales
going to get a
being the-
lot of feedback on that comment.
All right. Well, anybody listening that disagrees, the Clydesdales should be sleeping in 10 by 10s.
So then moving
What's
forward,
the Clydesdale?
It's a very fancy horse.
Oh.
No, you
it's the Budweiser horses.
ever seen the Budweiser horses, the nice fancy ones?
But so they should have smaller pens? than
They
bigger
all
pens?
don't need more than 10 by 10.
Okay.
According to very, very experienced people. But Linnea convinced me that we should have 12 by 12s.
So we have 40 10 by 10s and 40 12 by 12s on property all year
Nice.
long.
Wow.
So
So
guests
really
have
anyone
their
can come at
option.
any time. If they have a horse with them, they could bring their horse in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kiss it goodnight, go inside and have a steak and roll the dice.
That's your line.
Yeah, just if anybody's listening to this, reach out to us ahead of time before you just show
Yeah,
up
I
with your
was
horse.
gonna
You got to coordinate a few things.
I'm
This
looking
is
at
August.
Jonathan like, are we inviting people?
Well, yeah, if they call in ahead and say, I need a room for my horse and a room for me.
A room and stall package.
Thank you.
And I believe we have an email, correct, Gary?
Yeah, just email us at stalls at Plaza Hotel Casino. And
There it is.
We'll get you set up 365.
Nice.
Beautiful, beautiful. But moving ahead, after Jonathan seen the potential and what we could do, he asked, how did I want to grow? What I had in mind. And so I talked him into 2 different arenas. One arena is 126 by 250 with 200 back pins, and another arena is 50 by 250 for our calf arena. So we have arena 1 and arena 2 with a shared alleyway of 10 foot. And is customizable to many events. So I believe one year I had 3 arenas. I split it off for the mini bull riding. Mm-hmm. And I still had enough to do the barrel racing.
You
and
can't just glaze over mini bull riding. Mini bull riding, for the people that don't know, is a 7-year-old kid on a mini bull bucking around and then falling off. It's extremely mad when you watch. Actually, they start at 5, right?
Years old?
I think I watched a 5-year-old on a bull bucking around.
Is it a mini bull or a baby bull?
It is a mini bull.
Wow.
So they're actually bred to be miniature bulls.
Yeah, we had the International Miniature Bull
Riding.
Tournament. There's a bunch of kids riding around.
We had over
bulls.
300 kids.
That's my other favorite part about NFR is seeing all the cowboys, but all the little
All
cowboys.
the little kids with them. Yeah, and then our
Little
favorite
bet
part is
buckles.
them walking through the casino and having to tell them they can't stop at the slot machines. But no, that was pretty cool, the miniature bull riding that we did.
Yeah, it was amazing. So moving forward, we went from 100 stalls in a little bitty arena to 2 huge arenas with all kinds of back pins and 280 plus stalls, depending on what event we have on property. So during NFR, we sell out.
Yeah, and that was amazing. That was our first year doing it, and then obviously it was out there. So then we had to try to find other ways to fill it. I mean, you talk to the South Point; they have an event every week, equestrian. They have the crazy event where they pin the bulls, they pin the steers in the arena, and then one has to try to get around the other one.
Yeah, what's that called?
Cutting.
Oh, cutting. Yes.
Did I describe it wrong?
A little bit.
What is?
Because I couldn't understand if you're like working cow horse where they run down and, show them against the wall but cutting, yes, you sort one out and the objective is to keep it away from the herd.
Wow.
For X amount of time.
So then, also with the arena stays up year round, right?
It does.
So we've done other events in there. We've done demolition derby. We've done zombie paintball. We've done a
You've
couple.
done go kart racing, mini go kart racing.
Like the Hot Wheels event?
Yep. And
But-
paintball.
Demolition Derby is amazing.
It is. It is. Johnny
Cars.
Golo and Gumby do an amazing production.
Absolutely. So it's cars that people build themselves and crash into each other, demolish each other.
There's they call their tiers heats, and they have age groups and opens, and you can dress up your car, whether
So they use the same dirt,
Yep,
and then we have to clean the dirt.
we do. We have a sifter come in, and we sift the dirt and get everything from a nail size out.
Wow.
No, the demolition derby is insane. You guys are underselling it. I mean, it's like 2,500
Lisa, wake up.
really excited people there for 3 days straight watching cars just smash into each other. I mean, of all the events we've done in the 15 years I've been, that's the fastest sellout by far. It's just like an instant sellout. And I never knew this because I didn't grow up in America, but I guess it's like cultural to go to a demolition derby in your hometown, which
They
people
do
seem
take
to-
place all over.
Yeah, people love it. No, and there's really no one doing it here in Vegas. I mean, I wanted to keep. We didn't have a big enough facility, but I want to do the biggest demolition derby in the world.
Let's do it.
We don't have the venue. We need. I think we should do it at the Speedway. But you do the biggest demolition derby in the world, and we had huge turnouts for it.
We did.
The noise is a little bit of a challenge as the neighborhood is changing. You have the Smith Center, you have the 800 residential units, the mayor's office. But who doesn't love watching a good demolition derby?
Yeah, I mean, each night there's 3,000 people in the stands. Just sitting in our
Having the
parking
best
lot.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but
the monster truck racing.
Yep.
that was scary. Giant truck flying through the air. We wanted to. We really wanted to focus on equestrian the same way that South Point does, and that was our inspiration. But obviously, it gave us the facility then to look for other equestrian things, and that's how. Who reached out to who for Eldorado Days when that went sideways?
I found out that the previous producers of Eldorado Days no longer had it, and I inquired to you about it, and then we made a phone call to the city and asked if it was available and how to go about it.
So the last 2 years we've been the home of Eldorado Days, but it's not called Eldorado Days anymore. It's now called Las Vegas Days.
Correct.
So you guys know the history of like what is Eldorado Days and how did it come to be in this town? No.
Well, we spoke about it a little bit in our last podcast episode
Yes.
with history professor Michael Green. But, it plays onto our Western heritage as a city. And it started, I think, in the 1930s.
That's right. I did ask him flat out, like, is there a connection between the town and a rodeo?
Yeah, but it sounds like there really wasn't. But
But there was the Sawdust Joyance, and the guys that were the founding fathers of NFR in this town, and frankly the whole city, in what it is, whether it's the Boyds or Benny Binion, the Gorns, they all had that Western heritage, and they loved it.
Yep.
And so to me, there's a throwback there. Somebody told me, I can't remember who it was, but they said if Benny Binion could see a full-blown rodeo in downtown Las Vegas on Main Street, he'd be smiling in his grave.
That's nice.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Just going back a second, why is it not called El Dorado? Was it just a naming trademark
it's
issue?
anything. Yeah, the whoever owns it didn't want to.
Okay.
It's owned by somebody else. Okay.
But the Las Vegas Centennial Commission helps produce this and
Correct.
plays homage to Las Vegas's Wild West history.
Correct. The Centennial Commission is intended to try to preserve the history of the city, and this is one of the things that they help us to do.
And it's a PRCA
Sanctioned.
event. So the people who compete in Las Vegas Days, if they win, they get to compete.
The monies count toward the end of the year finals for them to qualify for the NFR.
It's pretty cool.
So this is a qualifier year round. So NFR is part of Las Vegas, but it is not the city's pro rodeo.
Mm-hmm.
So every city has their own pro rodeo to end up at the finals of NFR.
So maybe we'll see some of the people who were here this past weekend at NFR next year.
That is correct.
I met a lot of families that came down to bring their kids to see the rodeos. We had kids that signed up for the coloring contest. What else did we do to tie into the history?
So we gave away a Jane Stewart Wiseman Award, which is a belt buckle.
She owned a ranch.
She did.
Her husband owned a ranch in Vegas or somewhere around here, and then he passed away, but she continued the legacy, and she was like the first woman-owned ranch. So she's a big deal. Girl power.
Beautiful. Girl power. Kapow.
Besides Las Vegas Days, you've been able for NFR. You've been able to program the whole hotel with different events happening, everything like RFWA,
Yep.
the Rodeo Fashion and Western Arts District, Arts Expo, Arts District.
So a lot of events that I've brought to the hotel or created has been specifically for the downtown area and the Plaza Hotel alone in its own. The Plaza Las Vegas is very different from many others. It still has its history, it's historic, the vibe. It's not your modern day hotel. So I love it. Rodeo Fashion and Western Arts was created to host 75 plus vendors. Custom silversmith, from anywhere from custom attire. It is a high-end quality show. So a lot of expos, sometimes you see mattresses, sometimes there's a lot of corporate sponsors that take up, a huge amount of space. This is all, custom earrings being made.
Like boutique.
Belts. Yes.
So I could buy a real leather belt.
Yes, you can, and
Right.
you can watch it.
Excited.
You can watch it being made right in the expo.
You could buy the head, the skull of that we have in the office.
Yes.
The-
Yes.
Yeah, you can.
I mean,
The Longhorn skull,
The longhorn skull,
which has
That's it.
been prepped and painted.
and I don't know if this is out there, but this year's expo will be the first thing inside the old Greyhound station. That's
Might
big
have to
news.
know.
I mean, there hasn't been anything else in there in 50 years.
That's correct.
besides Greyhound.
Besides a bus station, yeah.
That is huge. I mean, hopefully that gives, it makes it a little easier for foot traffic to be able to see what they're missing out.
Well, and I think you're touching on it, but we've become a hub now for the NFL between the RFWA Expo upstairs, the arena to the south. We do the live feed. I mean, the live feed is crazy. So imagine 130,000, 150,000 cowboys, cowgirls come
Cowgirls.
to town, and they only quarter 18,000 can go to the rodeo.
Correct.
You got 100,000 people that want to watch it. Sometimes all the casinos put on the promo,
The watch parties.
the watch parties, and so between that and then the light and the music and the casino and the RFWA and the arena and the stalls, we got a lot going on here.
The horse sale.
And my favorite, the
Yeah.
horse sale. We sell live horses in the showroom.
How long did it take me to...
Convinced me of that one. Well, can you imagine me trying to think my head around the horses coming through the building, walking around the casino into the showroom? I had visions of problems, horses running around. We have figured out where they just come in the back door, walk around the stage, leave the back door. We haven't had issues with waste out from the horse, but the odor in the showroom does linger for a couple of days afterwards.
But it's so worth.
But it's great.
It's so cool.
There's nothing like it. So we've become a hub for it, and it's amazing for this business. And that was what was intended, I think, back in '85 when the people that came in to bring the NFR here. There's a documentary about it. Not a documentary, like a TV show called Bucking the Odds, which shows how the rodeo was taken from OKC, which
Oklahoma City,
to Las Vegas, and the politics and the bidding and what went on behind the scenes.
What was the shenanigans that happened? Did you catch that?
Yeah, they mentioned something about shenanigans.
Well,
I'm
that's about
guessing-
what's about to come up in 2025. It was
The bidding.
2024, but
Yeah.
they added a year to the contract since it did go to Texas.
And my understanding was last year Las Vegas let Texas have it as a gesture of goodwill to the Cowboys, because Las Vegas was still under this sort of more strenuous lockdowns and other mandates, whereas Texas wasn't. And so they took it, and I think it was fair to the Cowboys to give them a chance to make some money
That is
and
correct.
to compete as opposed to just staying home. But the 2025 bid is going to be a whole nother set of shenanigans, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I would like to think that the players in Las Vegas involved with the NFR and the PRCA will do the right thing and keep it where it should be.
Where else could it go? Nowhere.
It's not so much where else could it go. Who else could host such a production and create an experience like Las Vegas?
The purse has a lot to do with it. Like who's offering the biggest purse,
Yep.
the winning,
The money purse.
the money,
Yep.
which we're up to $13.3 million this year. They just raised it again
Oh,
for
really?
2021.
That's because we also, it's not the first year, but the first year in Las Vegas for the breakaway roping to be added to the NFR.
Oh, it's a new event.
It is a
It's
new
a new
event.
event.
So they had to
right,
add
right.
more money.
Yes.
Do
Got
you
it.
think there's a possibility that if Las Vegas continues with the NFR past 2025, that it moves from UNLV to somewhere like T-Mobile or Allegiant?
Good
If
question.
you're saying there's 150,000 people in town for it, I mean, doesn't it make sense to just move it to a 65,000 seat arena,
Linnea shaking her head.
or does it lose its experience?
Could conflict with Raider games.
Yeah.
Could conflict
And
with
T-Mobile
SLB
is not set up, was not set up during design to host of that sort of an event of
Well, they
cattle
do,
coming
they do
in
PBR
and out.
though.
Yes, but PBR, you can run bulls in and hold them during the whole event, where you have steers, calves, horses.
Right.
It's not set up to run in and out because you need an entrance and an exit on both ends of the building.
How big do you see this becoming, for the Plaza directly with the core arena and everything else over the next few years? What is the potential?
Well, I think the core arena is sort of landlocked, which is one of the challenges we run into. We end up renting a lot of land around it for parking. Parking's a huge issue downtown.
Right.
Without the rigs and the bulls and the horses, trying to figure that out. We have parking issues every weekend anyway. So I think from a land size, we're kind of limited in terms of how much it can grow. But I think for downtown, I think the rodeo is going to only get bigger and bigger down here. I think the people are gravitating downtown. They're seeing the experience down here is catered to them, whether it's the dining, whether it's the value. There's a lot more going on. And now you have more of the hotels jumping on board with sort of theming around it and branding around it. I think we'll see a lot more growth in downtown with the NFR. And I think there needs to be a big trade show down here. It's not right that they're all on the... where is Cowboy and Country now? Rio?
Cowboy Christmas is at the Las Vegas Convention Center. The Rio hosts a trade show, Country Christmas,
Right.
I believe. The World Market has now hosting a new expo. And
That's
Resorts
downtown.
World is hosting a new expo.
But I think some good trade shows down here gives a lot of credibility. I think that's a big part of NFR, especially because during the day, you're not watching the events, you're not drinking, you're not going to concerts. So that's why I think the Plaza does well, because we have our own trade show and we have our own arena during the day. We only run it during the day, the events there. So I see a lot more growth into it. And I think Linnea and I talk about how can we do more equestrian events down here throughout the course of the year. Because the automobile shows and events are not what the arena was originally intended for.
Right.
They've been great. but I think we want to focus on equestrian. One of the things we could look at is making it indoors so that it could be used year round. That's on the table.
That's a good idea. There's a lot of sunburns that happen out there.
Well, you just can't bring a horse here in June, July, and August. That's for sure.
Do horses get sunburnt?
Some do, actually, yes.
Oh, so sad.
Yeah, if you look at their nose, if they have a white face. Yep.
Well, Linnea, thank you so much for joining us. If people want to stay up to date with you, they can follow you on Instagram.
They can.
Is that the best place?
That is.
Linnea.ann.mitchell. We'll be back again soon, but in the meantime, please rate, review, and subscribe. Tell your friends about On the Corner of Main Street, and of course, follow us on social. On Twitter and Instagram, it's @PlazaPod, and on Facebook, find us at Plaza Podcast. Or go right to the top and tweet Jonathan @Jonathan Jossel. We'll see you next time from right here on the corner of Main Street.